Hello everyone, welcome back. First off, I want to say that I miss you guys terribly, and I know this is going to be weird for you guys. It's weird for your teachers too, so please keep that in mind. Be patient with them. Second thing I want to say, class of 2020 seniors, I hope that we're back soon, and I hope that you get to say your goodbyes in person. And I hope that the events that you've been looking forward to for the past 4 years happen, and I'll be thinking about you guys. All right, so for this video, I'm going to go through how this is going to look online. I'm going to go through the next unit with you and what we're going to do this week, and I'll show you how to find things, how to navigate online. Okay, so first, I'm going to pull up the slides, the Google Slides for this unit. And all this stuff will be posted in Classroom by the time you see this video. So expectations for e-learning for this class. This is going to be done asynchronously, meaning we're not going to meet at a certain time every day. Everything is at your own pace. I just have certain deadlines so that I can give you guys feedback before the summative, and all formative work needs to be done prior to doing the summative. Please make sure that you're completing your work on a weekly basis. So even though things aren't due until Friday, I highly recommend that you do things on the day that I assign them. So if I assign something on Tuesday, you should probably do it on Tuesday. Use the weekly plan as a guide, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. You should not be spending more than 40 minutes on this class per day. Sometimes things will take you longer than 40 minutes, but then other days it's not going to take you anywhere near 40 minutes to do the task that I assigned. Please make sure that you're checking Classroom every day. That's where I'm going to post everything, and I'll also post important announcements in there. My office hours are from 10 to 11, so if you would like to meet in person, we can Zoom during that hour, or you can just email me back and forth during that hour. You need to make sure that you're communicating with me through email, and you also need to make sure that you're completing your formative work before the summative will open up. So I can assign the summative to certain people, so I need to check to make sure that all of your formative work leading up to the summative was complete before I give you the summative. And obviously these are going to be take-home summatives because I can't watch you take the test. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is go through the student plan, which looks like this. And again, this is going to be linked in Classroom. So obviously by the title of the unit, we are going to take a timeout on the endocrine system, which we did before break. And I'm going to do a 2-week unit on epidemiology and your lymphatic system, which is closely tied to your immune system. I think this is really important, obviously, with the current pandemic, that you guys understand what viruses are and how viruses affect our body, what our bodies do in response to a pathogen like a virus, and how government officials respond to pandemics and what we can learn from past pandemics. So our standards: anatomy, 3 things. You're going to need to describe the types and classifications of pathogens, so the 5 types, and obligate pathogens, things like that. You're going to need to be able to diagram the anatomy of a coronavirus with its characteristics. You're going to need to be able to diagram the anatomy of your lymphatic system. It's just a few glands, just a few nodes. It's not bad. Physiology. You need to know the functions of the lymphatic system, specifically your spleen and your thymus, and the function of the 2 lymphocytes, B cells and T cells. You're also going to be able to explain how your immune system works, something called your immune response, using key terms from activities that we've done in class. Medical application, you're going to describe how emergent diseases spread into human populations, emergent meaning new. You're going to need to be able to evaluate the effects of social and cultural factors in the transmission and understanding of a disease. And for that one, we're going to do a case study called Patient Zero. You're going to need to be able to also collect evidence from different media that we're going to look at. So you're going to collect evidence from a case study on SARS, which was a outbreak that happened in the early 2000s, also caused by a coronavirus. And we're going to listen to an excerpt from a podcast called This Podcast Will Kill You, about SARS and about the current novel coronavirus pandemic. And then the third thing with that standard, you are going to use key terms to explain which factors to consider in a campus outbreak. And you guys are going to play a game called Pandemic 2, where you will design your own pathogen including the symptoms and the resistance, and try to infect the entire world. Homeostasis standards, this is going to be the last model you guys make for time reasons, time constraint. We don't have time to make a model for every body system that we have left, so this will be the last one. And you're obviously going to make it about the coronavirus. So you're going to make a model showing how viruses infect human cells, and then you're also going to make a model to show how vaccinations work. Medical terminology, I am not going to assess this unit. And then, depending on if we come back or not, after these 3 weeks, I will probably cut out these standards for the rest of the semester, shorten it down so that we can get through the rest of the body systems this semester. Then I also put a list of key terms that we will need to know for this unit. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the weekly plan with you guys. So these are all of the items that need to be done this week. Again, this is linked on Classroom. Here are our standards and objectives at the top. Monday, so your tasks for Monday, 1, you need to watch this video. Good job, you already are. Second thing you need to do is complete this introductory web quest. So I'll show you what this looks like. 3 parts. First thing, you're going to look at the types and classifications of pathogens. So here's the source right here. Answer these prompts. Part 2, come on. Sorry, my internet's been very slow. Part 2, you are going to explore an applet called Virus Explorer. I'll show you what this looks like. And you're going to collect information about different types of viruses, which are right here. Obviously, the coronaviruses aren't on here, so that will be part of your summative, is looking up this information about coronaviruses and filling in a row about coronaviruses. So when you click on a characteristic like envelope, clicked on if they have an envelope or not, the ones that highlight do, the ones that are not highlighted do not. Some weird things, when you click on transmission, only 2 things I care about here: human to human, so which viruses can jump from human to human, and then this other classification called zoonotic. Zoonotic means that it can be, it's transmissed from 2 different species. It can jump from 2 different species. Okay, so that is part 2. There's the table you need to fill in. And then the last part, we're going to look at the very simple anatomy of the lymphatic system, which again is closely tied to your immune system. So you're going to click on this picture, hit edit, and you will be able to drag and drop these items where they go on this model. And then when you're done, hit save and close. This model and the answers to the questions below are linked right here. Okay, so that's what you need to do for Monday. For Tuesday, I will have an ed puzzle for you to do with a review from the day before. And then we need to do this immune response exploration. Show what this looks like. So this is where we're going to learn how our bodies respond to pathogens. This is a tricky little process. So these models do a good job of simplifying this into the 2 types of cells that we need to know: T cells and B cells. Model 1 is about something called the cell-mediated response. And then there are a few prompts about that model. Model 2 is the humoral response, which is a little bit different, and a few prompts about that response. Model 3 is about adaptive immunity, which is when T cells and B cells work together to create antibodies. Very important process in our body. And then the last model is a graph showing how our bodies create antibodies when exposed to the first time and a second time to the same pathogen. This is a very important process, especially when you're thinking about vaccinations and how vaccinations work. So that is what you need to do for Tuesday. Wednesday, I will have an ed puzzle for you to watch, and it's just a short documentary about a woman who gets the flu, and it goes inside of her body and it shows how her body responds to that virus. Thursday, I will have another introductory video reviewing the ed puzzle, and then also reviewing other important information for this unit. Thursday also, you need to complete the patient 0 case study. So there are two things here. The Google slide. So this has the information and the graphs and the prompts that you need to go through to answer the questions. And then also in this guide are excerpts from a podcast. Please make sure you're paying attention to the timestamp. Only listen to that segment for that question. And then the guide for that case study is right here. Again, I will post all of this on Classroom as an assignment, so that you can turn it in. So this case study is about the typhoid outbreak and a lady called Typhoid Mary. She's a crazy lady, so you'll learn more about her. And that's Thursday. And then the last thing, Friday, easy day. You're going to listen to another excerpt from a podcast called This Podcast Will Kill You. So these are two women that currently study at the U of I. They study emerging diseases, and they have a really awesome podcast. And this episode is about coronaviruses. So they're going to start off talking about SARS, which is the one that we're going to learn more about. And then we're not going to listen to this whole podcast. It's 2 hours long. If you want to listen to the whole podcast, go for it. It's very interesting. But we're just going to listen to the segment about SARS. And then they also talk about coronaviruses, because again, SARS, MERS, and the current coronavirus, the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, they're all types of coronaviruses in the coronavirus family. And then again, while you're doing the patient 0 case study and listening to this podcast, I would definitely keep track of evidence. So going back to our what you need to do. So describe how emergent diseases spread to human populations, but also use evidence from the case study and the podcast to be able to write about how governments should respond to pandemics and what we can learn from the SARS outbreak. So keep that in mind when you're listening to that podcast. Okay, so that is all we're doing this week. Please make sure that you have the items Monday through Thursday. Please have those done by Friday so that I can give you feedback before the weekend. And then I'm not going to make the podcast due until Sunday. So you have time over the weekend to wrap that up. And then when we come back over the next weekend, we'll finish the medical application, and I'll have some other items for you guys to do. If you have any questions during this, please, please, please don't hesitate to email me. I know this is going to be hard. I know it's weird, but I'm here to support you, answer your questions, and also please stay healthy,